Welcome to the Writer's Trick Box. So glad you came to visit me. Do you prefer tea or coffee today? Can I interest you in a scone or a patisserie? No, you brought your own. Well, then just make yourself at home. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the most dangerous phrases to any writer. But before we dive in, I would like to remark that I have found that the limiting beliefs I'm going to be talking about in the next several sessions are not unique to the writing pastime. You could replace the word write, writer, and writing with any hobby or activity. As we venture forward, I'm sure there will be many things we talk about here at the Writer's Trick Box that could apply to several things in your lives. For now, we're going to focus on what holds us back from telling our stories. So let's get into it. What do I think is one of the most damaging phrases we can say as writers? It's simple. I don't have enough time to write. Now, it's fair to say that it's time-consuming to live our lives. Strip away everything else but the basic requirements of being alive, and even the mundane maintenance involved in taking basic care of ourselves can be painfully labor-intensive and time-consuming. When we start to add in other layers of our life activity, like holding jobs, going to school, taking care of others, it can be challenging to find any time to breathe, let alone do anything else pleasurable for ourselves. It's understandable that on the massive list of our daily priorities, making time to do something as seemingly benign and at times self-indulgent as writing seems, frivolous, wasteful, forgettable. We remind ourselves of all the other more important things we could and should be doing and tend to leave it at that. I myself am guilty of this form of procrastination. Avoiding making time for something I secretly wanted to do made me feel guilty because the urge to indulge always tickled at the edge of my mind and snuck up on me at the most inconvenient of times. There were whole years where I ignored this tickle as I carried on doing any number of things I had to do. In the interims, I often filled my life with what I call passive writing. I posted to my social media, I did my required writing for school and work, I made grocery lists and to-do lists and wrote notes to remind myself of any number of things. The thing I never stopped to consider at those times was that I was writing. In fact, if I had kept a tally of every word I wrote down in the regular course of my day, I would have discovered that once added up and put all in one place, I had composed sometimes pages worth of writing in a single day. I simply never gave myself any credit for it. This realization did one major thing for me. It proved that I did take the time to write, and while most of what I wrote was passive writing that didn't mean much of anything to me, I started to think that maybe, in the same time that it took for me to send a standard email or write a few text responses, maybe, just maybe, I could try writing something I did care about. I also realized that I didn't have to put aside hours of my day to get my fix. Instead, I allowed myself to write casually, with the realization that over time those words would and did add up. And as I saw the physical evidence of this, I felt less afraid to make more time for my writing. I gave myself credit instead of criticizing and overanalyzing the act of doing something I wanted to do. As the years went on, I learned the value of setting aside time for my writing, even if it was only enough time to jot down a few sentences while I sipped at my tea or I sat down doing something mundane that I didn't care about. I realized that writing is literally something that can be saved up, collected, revisited, and revised, and turned into whatever I wanted it to become. We have to be willing to make a start, because it is the only way to become anything we want to be or do anything we want to do. Take the time. Fight for it if you have to. Treat your writing time with consideration and yourself with equal compassion, because your thoughts, feelings, and ideas are valuable and worth the time to record. Still not convinced? Okay, try this. Test yourself sometime. Sit down and set a timer for 5 minutes and then free write. Don't worry about the content, just try to put as many sentences together as you can. Now, let's say in those 5 minutes you amass a small little paragraph of maybe 10 sentences ranging from 5 to 8 words. And as a result, let's assume you've amassed between 50 and 80 words doing this little experiment. Now, if you took those 5 minutes and wrote every day at the same pace, in a week, on the low end, you could accumulate 350 words. In a month, you'd have 1,400, and in a year, well, you'd end up with a lowball figure of over 16,000 words. That's more than enough material to play with. 5 minutes a day, one paragraph at a time, can add up to enough raw content to fill a book. Literally. Trust me, you can do this, listeners. You really can. You just may have to take it one word, one phrase, one idea at a time. Take heart, dear listener. If you've ever said this to yourself or any other confidence-sucking phrase that are similar, then that tells me there is definitely something inside you that wants to come out. If you take nothing else from this ongoing conversation, remember that you have the power to do anything and be anything that your heart desires if you are willing to try. This is Alexandria S. Allen, presenting another humble offering for your consideration. Thank you for visiting the Writer's Trick Box. I hope to see you again.